Hey everybody, I wanted to say hi and welcome to this new web series? I don't know, whatever you want to call it. This new series I wanted to put together, video series. And the whole purpose behind this is a chance to talk to others about what their new normal working from home so much more than it has been before. Everyone's a little different. We all have different home lives. And I think that really gets at the crux of it. This series is really focused on at home. Who are we at home with? And what does your life look like now that you're at home, not just working, but living so much more than you ever did before? So on today's show, we're going to talk to Kristin Gioberto. She's the Senior SE Manager for North Coast and my boss. And I will bring her in right now. Hey, Kristin, how's it going?
Hi, guys. This is sweet. Jeff, I've been watching this split screen, been watching it all over the internet and wondering how people do this. You're going to have to teach me, okay?
Absolutely. Software is an amazing thing. See, I love that we focus on software. It's fantastic. So cool. Well, listen, thank you for joining. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Awesome. So how would you say your days have been going now? Like what's different now that we're kind of at home so much more than we were before?
Something you said at the beginning totally hit to the heart. It's not just about being at home for work. It's about being at home all the time, nonstop, and everybody else is at home all the time, nonstop. So I was thinking about it when you asked me to do this. Hey, we've always had the opportunity to work from home, which has been amazing. You know, have a home office set up, which super lucky and fortunate to have that. But it's different because I haven't always had the kids on the other side of the wall streaming something or joining a video call, and I haven't always had all the devices connected, or my husband working at home, or to your point, when the day, which has been a lot longer, I'll tell you that my days, I tell everybody this, it just feels so much longer. Like we're doing so much more in a certain time, all at the same place. The day's been a lot longer, but when I'm getting to work, I try to really be in this work at home. And then when I get to my personal life, which happens out, all throughout the day, all different times, I try to really be in my personal life, and I can share more about that as well.
Sure. That'd be awesome. Just speaking about your personal life, and I don't mean specifically about any details, therein, but what would you say is like different? So for the audience out there who's watching, you live in the Denver area. I live in the Bay Area, and I work for you. So there's obviously a work remote relationship thing that happens anyway. So obviously, how we interact and other folks in the operation interact is different than folks who live local to each other, even though we are still working from home. So how would you say that kind of that reality and reality at home right now has impacted what you do every day? How really what's different for you now than it was 3 weeks ago or a month ago?
I think what's different is because I'm not traveling or I'm not physically in places, I have time or maybe this pressure, responsibility to connect with more people, personally and professionally. But professionally, we have the technology, we can connect with the team, so trying to stay connected. And then I just see it in my personal life, people trying to do all sorts of types of software and technology meetings. And because we have that engineering background, because we use it and have used it before, trying to help other people figure out how to use it. I would say that's how it's changed a little bit, the dynamics of the relationships. You feel super connected, but then you also don't feel connected in ways you would when you were in person or physically in the same place. So it's definitely hard.
Definitely. Have you been finding that has an impact too on sort of how you navigate time with the kids and time with your partner at home, family life, whatever it is, throughout the course of a normal day? Because I've got to imagine being able to work a solid 8 hours or whatever you work normally isn't necessarily as easy as it was before because everybody's at home all the time. How's that? How have you guys been navigating that? Any tips or tricks for how to navigate that?
Yeah, definitely. So it is different. I think before there was a clear routine in the morning. Get up, get people breakfast, have some goodbyes and walk to school. Now it's very different where we try to start my daughter a little bit earlier. So I have 2 kids. I know, Jeff, you know this. We have kids about the same age, which is a whole nother dynamic to this work at home all the time with everybody's business. But, before there was this routine of taking people to school. And so we have changed up our routine a little. And that's one of the things we tried to do in the very beginning is just set a schedule for our day. And I'm super lucky. I've helped my baby sister moved in, so everybody's situation's different.
Yeah.
But she moved in, and she'll start around 9 Denver time. And I really work and do schoolwork with the kids in the morning. So we've set that schedule. My daughter knows to expect me to help her with math or reading or whatever. And we kind of use it as a chance to work on schoolwork together and try to achieve that. Now, flip side, I have a 4-year-old, which is a whole different learning experiment.
As do I. I completely understand.
Yeah, we see eye to eye on how difficult 4-year-olds can be and how amazing they can be, obviously, too. And so my 4-year-old, I think it's a little harder because he has less of a routine and he's acting out, a little more. So trying to figure that out. So that's changed my time during the day. The amazing thing is I can do things like lunches with them, which I would have never been able to do that before. But there's times where, they'll come in, and I think everybody is experiencing that. I always laughed at that BBC reporter commercial that went viral with, how he reacted when people broke in. And I feel like the new world is everybody can have people coming in, and your day changes a little. I'm trying to, because we're super connected at Cisco and have the technology and grateful for that, I'm trying to be cognizant of I can't be sitting here at my desk and on video all day long. That's not right for my body. It's not right for my mind. It's not right for my family. Yeah. It's not right for my work. It's not how I do my best work. So I try to take breaks. That's not always easy, but I'm trying to be more generous with myself and, show more grace with myself to take some of those breaks that I need to take.
That's such a, it's such a good point. And I like how you described it. Giving yourself some grace for that time, because you recognize when you're at home so much more, it starts to call out for you how much you probably don't do for yourself that is healthy throughout the course of a day. If you're in an office somewhere, you realize when you try to sit at a desk all day at home, you can't do that. Even if you didn't have, family in the other room and you're by yourself, you realize it calls out to you really quickly. Like, man, am I really sitting at this desk all day? Am I actually being productive? And do I have energy to do this all day long? It's even more so when you have kids, because the kids are knocking on the door. They come in, Mama, I want to hang out or whatever. How have you found yourself making any? Have you had the ability to found a rhythm to making any time sacred throughout the day that can either be set aside? You mentioned a minute ago with the kids first thing in the morning, whether it's instead of walking to school, teaching them, doing things first thing in the morning. Have you found a rhythm or a way that works for you to set aside some amount of time throughout the rest of the day to be sacred, to do things like go put the kids to bed for a nap or take a walk or whatever?
Yeah, I think my best success so far has been the 7 to 9 in the morning. I've been pretty strict on making sure I can help and contribute to the first grader. We still do our same bedtime ritual, which, no matter where the day is, if some friends have wanted to do a book club or a happy hour, I still make sure I try to do the bedtime ritual. What I'll say, I think other parents probably are struggling with this, bedtime has kind of been creeping a little bit later, which creates problems the next day.
It has
so
been.
We're working on that. I definitely, I love, it's been really great weather here. I mean, of course, snowed and all that stuff, but it's been super sunny. So I like to get out and get on a walk. I've successfully done 5 walking meetings. So people who I would have normally been on video with, I've asked, hey, can we do a walking meeting? That. So trying to do that more, which I definitely think we can do and should be doing more of that.
I totally agree. It's an interesting call out. We've talked about this before, but I think more people probably could use to feel like they can give themselves permission or someone else to give them permission. And I don't mean that literally here's your permission slip, but I think that some of us, me included, sometimes need either something to prime the internal feeling of it's okay for me to give myself permission to take a walking meeting. I don't have to necessarily be right here in front of this camera or this screen all day. I can go take a walking trail around the neighborhood, or if you have a treadmill or a Peloton or whatever it is. That's so interesting that you say that, because it really does give you an opportunity to let me just back away for a little bit and go someplace else. That's a really interesting tip. I like that idea. What would you say some of the one or more of the I don't really want to call it pain point, but something that is just been hard for you to deal with in this sort of new norm? And it could be family wise or work wise, but in finding that rhythm or trying to create the rhythm between what your life looks like, those hours every day, what's one thing that has really been a challenge for you?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I don't know if it's just one one thing that stands out more than others. It's not like this weighs on me more than others. It definitely just the demands of communication has been really hard professionally and personally. That either it's my own expectations or my family and friends' expectations. I feel like we all need each other in this time, and there's a sense of community. And so it's a little bit my personality is trying to be there for others and trying to help, other people. And of course, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, then am I helping myself enough? Am I focusing on my own mental health? Am I focusing on my own physical health? Am I focusing on my own relationships in the house and outside the house without trying to do too much? And so I think it's more the overall noise of everything and just making sure that I'm having enough time. One thing, and this comes up in parenting a lot as well, and I feel like you and Shanna do an awesome job at this, but when you're going through these crises or these really hard times, and I heard this from our team last week too, so I know this is a real thing a lot of people are dealing with, is you get through these really long days and it's like, have I actually had the chance to sit down and talk to my partner today and digest what they're feeling or what I'm feeling or what we're working through? And so that's one of the things there's been days where it's like, oh man, I haven't had the chance to talk to my husband. I need that. I want that. And I'm sure he needs that, and our relationship needs that. And before the crisis, that happened too, right? You have to focus and prioritize that. So that's something that I definitely am trying to continue to make space and time for. You might have, I feel like you're always down with the cool trends, even before they become trends, like virtual happy hours. But you might have seen the concept of still doing date nights. So we're doing date nights, which has been awesome.
That's awesome.
And highly recommend it.
That's a really good call out too, because I think every chance everybody has to get the same sort of feelings they had before and the same sort of breaks while in the confines of whatever and I don't mean confines like you're stuck in your house, because you can obviously go in your backyard or stay in your front yard as long as you're social distance from folks. It's not, that's not the end of the world. But how do you navigate that when you have a family? So you get that time, like you said, and it's not just about having the relationship time, because that's necessary. It's also, I think, missed a lot that time with your partner or whoever, calling your family, whatever the activity is necessary to make you just feel like a human being again, because you get to have that human contact. And sometimes you need that special setting of like, take your brain out of not work, kids are in bed, someone's watching the kids or whatever, and go away and do this other thing for a little bit to make it feel like it's something different. That's awesome. Totally. That's very cool. Is there any, I want to say, I don't like to use the word advice too much, but is there any suggestion or thing you would recommend to others, to like one thing that's actually been really helpful for you? It doesn't have to be a big thing, but some activity or whatever that you've tried, that you are trying to create a habit around doing that helps you, that is starting to help you create sort of that rhythm. And when I say rhythm, the kind of the way that I like to think about it is, I was reading something recently that talked about how the metaphor of a work-life balance is kind of not a misnomer, but it's not a great metaphor, because to say that, okay, I'll balance my work and my life throughout the day, 2 hours at work and then 2 hours at personal, it's like it's not that black and white for most anybody. It's very nuanced. So the idea of like finding a rhythm, kind of like a sheet of music, there's highs and lows and it ebbs and flows, but when you're done, there's something that sounds like uniformity. And so for you, would you say there's like, if there was one thing you could pick that you're trying to kind of create a habit around that is helping you with that, to kind of build that rhythm, what would you think that would be?
Yeah, I think what's been interesting is as you look on what you would have been doing, what do you think you would have been doing this time of year before all this happened? Mm-hmm. And a lot of things are in this weird limbo. I think I've used that word with you before, where it feels like I can't complete something I wanted to complete, or I can't schedule something I wanted to do. And so what I'm trying to do to maintain the rhythm is still take on goals that I would have taken on. So, there's initiatives that I'm really passionate about, like internal technical education for this SE team, and been working on that before coronavirus. And there was some uncertainty and pushback of a training that we wanted to do, but I'm still taking on that goal and focusing on that goal and building meetings around that goal. So I feel like I'm still working towards it. And there's other, initiatives that I was responsible for, that I raised my hand for, and I'm still trying to say, okay, is it realistic to do this now? And if it's not, have the conversation, put it on the back burner, but trying to keep that sense of structure and that sense of normalcy for myself so that I know what I'm working towards to really build that, musical note, as you were to say. And I think even outside of these weird times that we're in, there's going to be those peaks. That rhythm's important whenever, right? To be in this for the long run. And so even outside of this time, I had those goals or initiatives that I was working towards, but I still had the grace with myself to be like, okay, I'm going to take a 30-minute break and go enjoy some sunshine because it's shining today, or I'm going to make sure I have a nice relaxing lunch, or I'm going to make sure I have ability to reconnect with people professionally or personally that I need to be reconnecting with, and just trying to constantly challenge myself to not be pushing too hard, whether we're not in this crazy time or outside of this crazy time. Hopefully that helps with how I'm approaching it, and keeping the same initiatives in place.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Kristin. I really appreciate it, and thanks for being willing to kind of talk a little bit about like the insides of like when you shut off the monitor or kind of walk out of the office. This is what life is sort of really like right now for you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. It's crazy for all of us.
It is wild. It is wild for sure. Well, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Everyone, this has been our first episode of At Home, and we'll be coming back here hopefully next week with another interview. And if you have any suggestions or any feedback, please message me directly and let me know who you would like to talk about, any topics that you really want to hear from other folks. If there's anything else you really want to know from anybody out there who is finding their own way to create a rhythm, we'd love to hear about it. Anyway, Kristin, have a great one, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.